Damon, welcome to the Tyson's Vibe podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Saturday. It's November, a week before Thanksgiving. So I'm always blessed.
That's
Always
right.
blessed. Now, you are host or co-host of the Two Mics Up podcast, correct?
Correct. I am the proud host of the Two Mics Up podcast with my featured guest co-host Elisa Middleton, who is not here today.
Okay. And can you tell me what your podcast is about?
Well, the Two Mics Up podcast is essentially we like to work around three concepts: educating, empowering, and impacting our Black community. So most of the things that we try to talk about will generally involve some type of educational aspect, whether it be from history or life experience, um, which we try to use to empower, young kings and queens in our community to actually give them the strength and the knowledge to be able to go ahead and do something different, to motivate them to do something different. And by doing that, you can leave a positive impact in your community.
Nice. So let's talk about Black people for a
hmm
second. So, what do you think the state of Black people are today? Do you feel like we're headed in the right direction, or are we on the brink of extermination?
Well, let me start like this. So
Mhm.
we are a beautiful creation by design. All right, we've been uh, the backbone and pillar of civilization basically since its inception.
Mhm.
Um, they have tried to exterminate us and remove us consistently and constantly for decades, centuries.
Facts. Facts. Yeah.
So just in understanding that, you know, we're still standing here today. Um, and really, my biggest thing is, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of people, uh, maybe in my age group, I'm a little bit older. We may have different views when it comes to millennials and Gen Zs and the generations coming behind us. I kind of think of it differently. Your generation, you guys are warriors, and I say that only in a sense. So I kind of came up behind that group that had the activists. They did the march, the peace. You had Malcolm and Martin, and we kind of came up behind it, kind of holding out for hope. You
Right.
guys are demanding shit. You understand what I'm saying? It's a
Yeah.
big, and you guys are really ready to go out here and die for things and for things that are unjust.
And let
And
me stop you right there.
Mhm,
And I can tell there's a big disconnect too, because the older generation think it's like disrespectful. You need to like fit in. But
mhm,
some of us, I'm millennial, and I know Gen Z is. They were the ones out there during
mhm,
the George Floyd protests, ready to take a bullet.
right. And I mean, but to me, that's the difference where you have young men and women that are not afraid to go out and take what they deserve. Now, the only difference that I say, and when I talk to a lot of younger folks, like in your age group, or like my nieces and my nephews, had great conversations with them through our podcast and just educating. The one thing that I will say, my group, we need to be better at explaining history and knowledge that we have to give to you guys to use that energy that you guys have so that you guys can combine the two because you guys will be dangerous out here, but we have to learn how to step back and really listen to you guys and stop talking to you guys like we're telling you what you should be doing. We should be collaborating and educating you on how to use the things that we have, the knowledge that we have, so you guys can use that technology, that energy to go ahead and keep progressing forward.
Right. I like that. I like that. And yeah, this year has definitely taught me a lot, and we're gonna get into it in our later topics, like everything regarding like the protests and the election, and yeah, definitely.
hmm
But I mean, everything we learned from you guys though. So we didn't just like come out of it like just created out of the clear blue sky. We had to learn from you guys because y'all were the trailblazers.
Well, like I said, I will, and this is one of the things. Like I said, getting older, you learn. Yeah, so I'll take some of that credit, and I got that same knowledge from my predecessors, my parents, and grandparents and things like that. But I just think with technology today, what's happened is there's been a slight disconnect where you guys are on to things that we're still playing catch up to. And I'll be honest with you, some of our pride and our ego as your elders, we talk down to you instead of talking to you. And until we can learn how to talk across the table with each other, the same way we want with, whether it be whites or the Latinos or whoever. We've got to learn to talk to each other, not at each other, not about each other. And that's how we learn. You guys will never listen. And I mean, that's anybody if you really think about it. If somebody's constantly telling you what to do, you're not going to listen. After a while, this white noise.
Right. And I think part of the reason for that is because some millennials and some Gen Z are out earning the elders. So
Hmm.
maybe the respect level has gone down the drain.
I
And
agree.
that's set up by design too. Because we're the only culture that traditionally, well, not the only culture. I don't know of any other cultures that treats their elders as kings and queens, like high up in the hierarchy. Some other cultures are already just off their like elders. If they like
Well,
say if they even try to like lecture them or show them the right way. But
I mean, I look at some cultures. So I have some friends that are Indian, or Muslim or that type of thing. Like a lot of times, the hierarchy is still there. The parent, everything still runs through the mom and the dad. Really, the dad in the household that directs that. Now, again, we talk about our history. The black male or the black man has been removed on purpose from the time
facts.
we were brought over. We were, I mean, we were beaten, raped in front of our women. We were degraded, made to feel less. If you move forward into today's society on what you just said, perfect example. So I have my daughter. My daughter will be 26, graduated from George Mason, and just
Nice.
talking. Yeah, thank you,
Mhm.
and talking to her in her first career. And I laughed, but I said, it wasn't until I was almost 30 plus that I even saw the money that you were making coming out of college. But that's done by design. Now, again, I'm blessed to have been able to move forward. I've gotten to a certain place in life. But if it was harder for me, especially as a black man, when I walk into a room and I'm talking again, white counterpart. I mean, I had one time I went on an interview and this dude told me, "Well, I don't have this job for you, but I'll give you this job." It's like paying $12 an hour. And I laughed
Right.
at him. And I said to him, "Messi, get out my face. I'm more educated than you are. Do you think I'm going to come in here and accept $12?" And again, this is where you have to know yourself, your self worth. But again, it all goes back to, like you said, it's by design that way. And that's is part of the reason why you young men and women really have no, I won't say no desire, but there's a breakdown in communication when you do talk to your elders. And I agree with you. That is partially purposely done by design.
I'm glad you brought up the topic of workplace. So, are you in favor of diversity in workplaces or entrepreneurship or Black entrepreneurship?
Well, great question. So, all right. So for me, honestly, that's a two. It's like a coin.
Hmm.
The realist in me understands right now there has to be diversity in the workplace, because the reality of the world is it's not just black, it's not just white, it's not just brown. So the reality is we do have to have, and we need to find ways to diversify and be inclusive in the workplace. Um, the flip side of the coin is, though, I am 200% for black entrepreneurship.
Facts.
That's facts, without question. That's one of the fastest ways for black men and women, people who look like you and me, to be able to have something of our own that can help begin creating generational wealth. And once you can start really understanding how that moves hand in hand and step in step to progress, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, definitely, black entrepreneurship is the way to go.
And I'm glad you are in favor of diversity in workplace. I'm a bigger fan of entrepreneurship, but you mentioned diversity in workplace, and I say we make everything hot in society, in the world.
Facts.
We
Facts.
made Joe Biden hot. We saved him. I
Mm-hmm.
think he was like, I think we helped him out in South Carolina, who's struggling in South Carolina, but we propelled him
Mm-hmm.
because the other groups weren't really, they're ready to go with somebody else, like Amy Klobuchar or somebody. So like we literally make everything hot. So we deserve a seat at the table. Fashion, music. I don't think we own any music labels.
Well, hey, so I'm glad that you brought that, because that was really the other thing with the, diversity. Until we own something, see, the narrative is, if you look around, we don't own any news media outlets outright. Anything that's going out to the public, they they take our propaganda and then they turn it around and try to tell us how it is to be black. And so we can really own and really, like, these platforms I find are very important, podcasts and doing things like this is important for our young men and women, black, brown, whatever, to really see and hear our views, our perspectives. This is not being driven by, any CEO or anybody at Fox 5 or CNN. It's like what you said. This is ours. We drive the machine, but we
Right.
don't own the machine. And that's where, you have to still work through things like, diversity. And like I said, I'm with you. Entrepreneurship is really the first step or one of the first ways to change that narrative.
Right. Let's switch over to politics. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate President Obama's presidency?
Mm. I know a lot of people. You ask certain people, they draw different things when it comes to President Obama and his presidency.
Mhm.
To be honest with you, so me being a criminal justice major and things like that, political science, as a president, and I say that president as a president, President Obama did a great job. And when I say that, people have to understand the president can only do so much because there are other things tied to the presidency.
Right.
So there's two other parts, and I don't care how you look at it. If those two other parts don't fall in line, and I'm going to say in line, if they don't have a D behind it, so if the president, like Obama, was a Democrat, if the House and the judiciary don't have a D with it,
Hmm.
then more than likely all of the things that he wanted to do is not going to happen. So just like in his presidency, it was mostly Republican. He
Hmm.
had to fight, fight, fight for just about everything that he got. Not he did a great job. He was one of the best presidents we've had in the modern era. I
Right. And
think.
everyone, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Everyone has a Mitch McConnell that they've battled in their life, just trying to
Well,
like block every single thing they do.
so this dude, Mitch McConnell, he's the highest paid senator. He's the richest senator. He's been in office for over 30 years and he's from the poorest state in the republic. You go figure that out. And you tell me where the problem is. I'll wait.
Yeah, and not too many people are saying that. Not too many people are holding politicians accountable. I'm a big believer in politicians are supposed to fall in love with people,
Mhm.
not people fall in love with politicians. Like politicians are here to serve us.
Uh, you hit it on the head, my brother. We were blessed. One of our episodes, we had a gentleman, Qasim Rashid, who was running for office here in our first congressional district. And he came on, and really, this is what I've come to learn. And he hit it like what you said. He said, I'm here to serve my constituents. He said, and that's the problem with politics today. They get caught up with money. They don't realize it's an honor to serve. And it's not about the D or the R because neither one of them cares about Black America. We're
Thank
both
you. Thank you.
we've
I'm
been
glad you
we
said that. I'm so glad you said that.
we're underserved and undernoticed by both parties. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So what we have to learn is to pick the best person that meets criteria. And I mean this in all wholeheartedly. We need to learn. It's not about the presidential. It's about what's in your back.
Hold on. Did I lose you? 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 Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Did I lose you?
That you need to learn.
I'm sorry. It cut off for a good while. Could you repeat that last part you
Mhm.
said? You said about the
So
backyard?
so basically, the most important thing that we need to understand as African Americans, people of color,
Mhm.
the elections really start in your backyard. Do you know who your judge is in your local district? Do you know who the sheriff is in your local district? Because that judge is writing laws, slave catcher laws, to have that sheriff go out and arrest people that look like you and me.
Right.
Once you put people in place that represent you and serve you, that person will be the one to go fight for you with the president. That's how it starts. We look at it in reverse. The president on down. No, it starts locally and works its way up.
Right. Facts. Facts. I'm glad you said that. Speaking about that, who is your favorite civil rights leader to this day?
Wow, that was a no-brainer. Marcus Garvey. Um,
Okay. Okay. From
this
Jamaica,
one,
right?
yes,
Okay.
Jamaican immigrant came to America, and this man built an empire in the early 20s and 30s, 1920s, 1930, with an eighth grade education. And just a simple, fact here. A lot of people look at Black Lives Matter. They have, I want to say, just about 2 million. followers.
Mhm.
So we have all this technology and everything today. Marcus Garvey had over 6 million followers in the 20s and 30s with no technology, and this was global. And this man had an empire. He had transportation, not only over the roads, but over the sea. He had his own factories. He had his own newspaper. This man was a giant. And this is why I say I'm a big proponent of history. We need to understand we have a blueprint. How do we take that blueprint and marry it with today's technology? Because there's no reason why we should be suffering the way that we are as a people.
Hold on. I don't think I think people are afraid to be that black though. That's just my personal opinion. Like Marcus Garvey was down for his people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also aware of the civil war between him and W.E. Du Bois
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
W.E. Du Bois was like educated,
Right.
and I think white people thought that was the chosen leader.
Correct.
But I think black people naturally tended to Marcus Garvey.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. So again, look at how throughout history this nation has pitted us against each other. W.E. Du Bois, because he was fair skinned, he was so called educated, he was a good talker, and you had this immigrant who basically built himself up from his bootstraps. He was dark, heavy set. Look at Malcolm, look at Martin, pick any leaders you want throughout our history. They always try to pit us together. And this is the one thing I always say: we, even as the voice, we have to stop getting behind that support. We have to stop getting behind sides and put our hands out and bring sides together. Until we can learn how to link and go hand in hand. Behind scenes, man, you can disagree. Look, my co-host and I, man, there's a lot of stuff, we just don't see eye to eye on. But you know what? I'm going to love her. I'm going to hold her. I'm going to support her. I'll never talk bad about her in public because that's my sister. Same way that you're my brother. Now, you and I, we, Lord knows, Lord bless us, we might have a great friendship from this.
Mm-hmm.
I may hear something on your show because I've listened to your podcast. You do some great stuff. And there's some things I scratch my head like, I don't know if I would have said that or if I agree with that, but it's great. It's a voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's positive. This is what we need to have. This is what we need to hear. And we need to hold each other up, man. Stop tearing each other apart.
Right. And W.E. Du Bois suffered from, I'm trying to get this book out. Give me one moment. He suffers from this.
Yes. The miseducation of a Negro. You're 100% right. And we all do to a degree.
Right. Can you give me your thoughts on the recent election that took place?
So excuse me, some bullshit. Real talk though. So like I said, I listened to one of your episodes. I want to say, I think it was maybe episode 9 or 10, where you talked about the election and how you thought Trump had the possibility of winning.
Yeah.
And I think early on, a lot of us behind closed doors, because my wife and I, we talked about at one point, it was like, damn, this guy's going to win. But you know what? Honestly, this time around, the only difference that I really see is, so he really pulled back the veil on America and let others, even some of his own supporters, really see the racism that really exists in America. And some of them really saw, he didn't really care about them. And I really think those were the people, those 3 or 4 million people. Yes, the black community showed up, the brown community showed up. Shout out to our Native American brothers and sisters who showed up. But it was really those in his own camp that I really felt petrified, like, oh shit. Like it was that aha moment that they really realized this man doesn't care about me. And those were the ones in his own camp that I really feel swayed the ballot or the vote. Neither one of them, in my opinion, is really great for America. I don't think any one of them is great for Black America. I think we have to now put action in place now, tangible action, for us to move forward. And you mentioned earlier, now it's time for us to step away from the table as a united bloc. Figure out what's best, or not even what's best. What do we want? Have clear-cut expectations of what we want and demand it. Right. Don't accept the crumbs anymore. We want to be greedy like everybody else now. Now's the time to be greedy.
Right. And I had a lady on the show. She gave her election analysis and she fully believes in Kamala Harris. And I didn't want to disagree. I wanted her to give the platform to like just like flourish. But and she truly believes that Kamala Harris is going to get some things done for the black community. And I'm like, okay. But if she doesn't get anything done specifically, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be mad. I mean, it is what it is.
You know, so I will say this. If you really look at the four candidates, president and vice president, I will say Miss Harris to me was the most presidential. She came across as the most presidential to me in those debates. However, I'm hesitant on her only one because of her background. She's kind of proven who she is. And I can only say for anybody and anything that we do in life, we all change and we all grow.
Mhm.
I hope there's been some growth, not only with her, but Joe as a president, because we know what his history speaks on. So you pray for growth. I'm just not a big proponent of neither one of them. I just have to be honest. It's just the lesser of two evils right now. I mean, that's just honest.
No, I mean that's understandable, and I'm not mad at you because I know a lot of people feel that way.
Hmm.
They voted for them because they wanted the other guy out of office.
The lesser of two evils.
What did you make of the exit polls? I believe Trump lost. He lost support among white men like 4%. He
Mhm,
gained like 3% of the white woman vote and
mhm.
his Latino vote. I don't remember the numbers.
Honestly, so I'm not. First of all, I don't really pay much attention to exit polls, any type of poll, because it's shown us over the last several elections they're inaccurate and I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. Like I just don't know. So I don't put any value in them. What I do put value in is people that I talk to in my circles and in my community, whether it be work, church, wherever. A lot of people were just tired. And this is black, brown, green. Hell, we had aliens here, from Mars. I'm pretty sure they're tired as hell. Like people were just tired. Like that rhetoric, waking up every day. Like I had a gentleman I work with, white gentleman. He honestly said he feels a weight on his shoulder that he's never had to feel before. And he really feels like, again, he wanted to be careful. And I said, you can say, you consider me a black friend. He said, yeah. He said, I don't even know how to interact with you anymore because of this man. So when you just have that, I mean, people were just tired, man. People just really had enough.
Right. And he forever changed the course of America, as you
Forever.
mentioned earlier. Like
Hmm.
I look at politics completely different now. I was under the impression that people voted on policies.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's not the case. They vote on who makes them feel good.
Well, if you really think about it, so we talk about all the time. Like, I don't know anybody that was born a Democrat or Republican. It's not on my birth certificate. If it's on yours, let me know, please. Right? I mean, but these are learned things. So, like your family may be sitting at you might be sitting at a table having breakfast or reading a newspaper. Your dad or your mom might say something, or you might hear a family member say, "Go out and vote for XYZ." That's where you really learn because us as colored people, we don't really have those conversations at home, right? It's
Mhm.
just kind of you follow along. Well, I mean, white people do the same thing too, but now there's a difference where some of them are educated on. There's a reason why people vote Republican or Democrat. Like take 50 Cent for example. I have nothing against him, but I'm not making $300 million a year either, right? So if I was making $300 million, you know what? I might want to be a Republican too because I don't want to have those tax cuts. I don't want to lose 60% of what I'm making.
Right.
And that's where I think people have to differentiate. Stop looking at the person who's talking, but look at the ideal or the platform that he's talking from. That makes you want to be Democrat or Republican when you get to a certain level. And
Right.
this is a lot of different things that go on. I just think people we make too much of being one or the other instead of voting on the person, the right person.
Right. And you say people vote on different things, and I just see like people who made 30K, 40K a year voting for Republicans. Like that will never sit well with me. Like they're trying to take away your health care. I know you get
Right,
health care through work, probably.
right, right.
Like,
You pray.
yeah, like what do you it
It's true.
never adds up. Like, I
It
don't know.
doesn't. It doesn't.
So what advice do you have for African Americans who want to make an impact in the community but don't know how?
Honestly, I would say whatever your gut, whatever that thing is inside, we all have something inside, or we've all experienced something. So for me, like with the podcast, um, one day, so brief story. So I have a circle of friends. It's about 7 or 8 of us that used to get together on Friday nights, and this was back in, I want to say February, March, right around the time like George Floyd and all the unrest was going on, and we all were just talking about like, yo, we're tired and we wanted to do something positive, like what you just asked. What can we do to be positive in our community? And we all sat around. So, two friends of mine, two young ladies. So here in Virginia, they have the Virginia Black Business Directory, the biggest Black business directory here in the DMV area. Shout out to Ernisha and Tracy Hall. Big job. Another friend, Michelle Riddick Entertainment. She does special events. And we just started talking. And I was like, you know what? I want to be the voice. I want to figure out a way to be the voice of this platform. Use everybody's tools. We connect. Um, my wife then said to me, listening, she's like, "Why don't you and Lisa start a podcast? You and Lisa, y'all get together. Y'all like the aunt and uncle in the backyard. Y'all always starting shit with conversations and getting everybody riled up." And she said, "But y'all talk. People want to hear what you're talking about. They feel like they're learning something from you." So that kind of spawned this podcast. So ever since, it's been an evolution of, again, like you said, what can I give to you to inspire you? I heard your podcast, we connected. I love what you're doing. A young man, we got a young man, a young king. I think you say you're 23, 24 years
23.
old.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. And I want to be able to have more young men like you specifically, not against our queens. I love them. I got a daughter, but we don't have enough young kings like yourself out here. And I'm inspired just from the energy that I get from talking to you, being able to be
Appreciate
here.
that. Mhm.
No, man, this is true though. Like this is my love now. It's my passion, and everybody has that spark in them to do something.
Right.
Figure out what it is that motivates you, that honestly keeps you up at night. That you can't sleep about until you get it done. And I really want us to understand. I love our athletes. I love LeBron James. I love all our rap artists. I love all our styling and our clothing artists. But we're more than that. We are such a diverse color of people. We have diverse talents. And I think, I just want to inspire people, figure out what it is that moves you, what keeps you up at night, and make that your passion, and do that every day.
Right. And then you touched on the athletes. Like it's rare for athletes, I would say today, to be conscious or woke. Like Colin Kaepernick is a rare case.
Right.
Who's the gentleman, the basketball player, he kneeled for the anthem back in the day? Is it Muhammad?
Oh, are you talking about the Muslim brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rauf.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
sorry.
I know. Yeah, Muhammad said, yeah. I know who you're talking about. Little short dude. Yeah, he came up in my era, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's rare for athletes to be this conscious at all, because I was an athlete in college, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't really thinking about black people's plight. I was thinking
Mm,
about like how can I be like the best thing possible. So, and that in itself is set up by design. That's a distraction. If you
yes.
want to make it to the top and be good with the power structure, you have to sacrifice something.
Yep.
And that will be your self-consciousness.
You're 100% right, my brother. I mean, you have to, in anything, this society, this capitalist society, always makes you want to capitalize on someone else. That's why it's called capitalism. And you could care less about how the other person feels. I think what we have to do as a black community, one, to be successful, we have to care enough about each other. We have to learn, something you said earlier just sticks in my head. We are the commodity. Everything here in America is really built off the genius of a black mind. I mean, some of our thoughts, some of the words, the quickie catchphrases that we come up with, you hear them in the commercial. We have to own our commodity and stop giving it away for a dollar.
Right.
Make them invest in your commodity. If they want to be a part, if they want it, no, you have to be a part of it.
Right.
Own your commodity. Stop giving it away. And these are things that, again, we don't talk about enough. We don't understand enough. But just know that you are the commodity. Our athletes the same way. We could change sports. I listened to one of your episodes too, talking about sport. We could change the face of sports if, again, we understood we're the commodity. NBA, the NFL, all of that would go away without the athlete. Nobody's paying to see no fat, slow white guy play football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
70% black. You take away the black athlete, what happens to the NFL?
Right. Definitely, definitely. And you live and you learn. I mean, those athletes now may not understand, but a lot of them usually come to grips one day, like, hey, maybe all this was just entertainment, and my life is bigger than entertainment.
Uh, eh, you bring up another valid point there. You know, I leave it to the individual, but I just pray that people listening, that they walk away maybe changing that mindset or changing that thought about the selfishness and become more about the united block.
Right. Ooh, sorry.
No
Sorry.
problem.
Well, Damon, thank you for coming on the show today. I'm gonna let you go, but I have two more questions for you. If that's okay.
Sure, definitely.
All right. So first, where can people follow you on social media?
So I'm gonna take this slow because you can find me,
Mhm.
Damon or Dame D NYDC. You can find me on IG and Twitter at Dame D NYDC. You can also find me. Again, I am the host of the Two Mics Up podcast. We out of the DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. You can find Two Mics Up at www.twomicsup.com. You can also find us on our social media platforms, IG, Facebook, and Twitter at Two Mics Up. And that's not the letter two, it's TWOMICSUP.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And then last question is a fun question I ask all my guests just to see where their heads
Mm,
at. That's
Okay.
it. All right. Which black TV show do you want to see be brought back to life, and why?
Wow. Oh, black TV show. Man, you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna have to go with Martin, my boy Marty Marr. Real talk. Yo, that show was classic only in the sense, yeah, he was just a straight ass, man. I mean, he clowned everybody. And I mean, me at heart, most people who know me, I'm probably the biggest clown. I'm the biggest joke. I like to laugh, joke. I cut up Dragonfly Jones. I mean, just his whole assortment of characters really touched me. And that came up, and I say that because, that came up in my era. Um, a lot of the clothes, the cross color clothing, that's what we was wearing in New York, going to the clubs and just hanging out, Studio 54 and all of these, places, West Side Highway.
Mhm.
Um, so that just really vibe with me and that whole era, that whole genre.
Uh, your generation loves Martin.
Yeah,
Y'all
man.
just swear by Martin. Oh my gosh.
That's my dude, man. He was a funny guy.
Well, Damien, thank you for joining the show today. I hope you have a happy holidays, safe holidays.
I really appreciate you, Tyson, for having me on today. I wish you nothing but success. I will be in touch. Got a couple of things going on that I would like to. I'm going to reach out to you to have you come on and rock with us for a little bit over here on the Two Mics Up side. And you do the same, man. I pray that you have a great, safe, and blessed holiday, you and your family, and continue success, my brother, man. And anytime anything you need or anything I can do to help anything you got going on, let me know, man. I'll be happy to share it on our site and share it with our listeners as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. God
I,
bless you and take care.
you do the same.